Stunning, really, when you think from campaign cycles gone by that Republicans are questioning and so sort of anti-law enforcement. It's sort of mind-bending that we are at this point, but we absolutely are. And at every Republican campaign event, every Republican candidate really running for office at any level, there is this skepticism built in of the FBI, of the government, of law enforcement because of Donald Trump. I mean, that's what we're talking about. So this is a manifestation of the Trump era here. Look, I'm not sure anything was accomplished this morning in terms of advancing the ball at all with the aside.
I'm going to need a minute for that. I came up with a million smart aleck responses, none of which are fit for air. Welcome back to... in my defense, I'm on a ton of steroids today because of my allergic reaction, so I have no idea what's going to happen today's show. Welcome back. Dana Loesch with you, your lovable curmudgeon, who's all roided out. So his take is that if you criticize FBI abuse, then you're against law enforcement. Okay.
That's our media.
That's the... Who's this guy? It says it in the audio rundown. You guys have it in the audio rundown, but I'm like, who? Who does? Yeah, let's wait. Wait a minute. Let's have some fun here. Oh, he used to be with Chicago Tribune. So he's a newspaper guy. And newspaper career. Oh, he knows literally nada. He knows absolutely nothing. Oh, he did play trumpet in the Cornhuskers marching band. He did play trumpet. Yeah. So there you go. Of course, he doesn't know. So his hot take is that if you criticize FBI corruption, if you criticize the FBI abuses, then you're anti-law enforcement. Really hot take there. Really hot take there, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. That's not the issue. The issue, it doesn't, I mean, this is coming from the party that wanted to literally defund police. Don't sit here and tell me that they didn't, that it was just a talking point. They literally voted to do it in Austin. In Austin, Texas, the city council literally, they physically with their own meat sack bodies walked into the city council chambers and they literally with their hands and their minds and their voices voted to do it. And it wasn't in just one city. It was in a number of cities all across the country, which are under Democrat administration. So don't tell us that they didn't do it, because they did. So this has nothing to do with opposing law enforcement. Unless you are presupposing, actually it begs the question as to the FBI's activities being classified as law enforcement. You're assuming that what they're engaging in terms of going after it. What is the phrase? Traditional radical Catholics? Rad trad cath. And parents at school board meetings. Sidebar. Honestly, like all of my Catholic friends, why are you not putting that on a t-shirt? Rad trad cath. I mean, that's a t-shirt. You could sell it. Monetize the hate. That's been my saying for like 15 years now. Monetize the hate. But then going after parents at school board meetings. Okay, sidebar. But they can't find the cocaine. They can't find that person. It's a mystery. My goodness. Okay, back to the main subject. So the observation is that it's so depressing that Republicans are asking questions about the corrupt and the entirely corrupt and exceeding their authority FBI. You should be glad that we are. Especially before somebody like me would get into office. I'm not saying that any of our candidates are like that. In fact, I think they're probably better. That's why I always laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, some of you people didn't like Trump. What did you get me? I'm so much meaner. I would be so much meaner. That's why I could never go for elected office. I wouldn't represent anybody that wanted to vote for me. That's an immediate red flag. Red flag. But to question the FBI and to question law enforcement and to question government is the very nature of what it is to be American. That is the very nature of who we are. I mean, some of us have questioning authority so embedded in our DNA. Like, I want to immediately, the first thing I do when I see, like, do not cut this tag off of a pillow or a mat, I cut it off. Like goofy little things, right? or red light cameras. I will literally, like back in the day when that was the thing, I was like, I will go to court and I will literally argue and defend myself, and I will make the city waste its time and money into doing this because this is not due process. Oh, it's ridiculous. So that's what we're supposed to do, is questioning the FBI. This is the press. The press shouldn't be questioning the people that are questioning the FBI. The press actually should have beaten the people in questioning the FBI. They should have been the first people out of the gate saying, hold up, why is there so much confusion around this? This is what I don't get. Why? It's like Democrats dig their own rhetorical grave here. Do you not realize that anything you allow that anything you do, you're allowing your opponent to do and then potentially build off of? Why would you do that? This kind of makes me think of, if you like siblings. Any of y'all ever had, well, those of you out there who have siblings, you know, there's that old situation of, you know, you got to cut like a donut in half, or you got to cut like a treat in half, and people are arguing who gets the bigger slice. Well, you cut you cut it in half, and then your sibling gets to pick which side they want. So there's an incentive there for you to be as fair and judicious as possible with the portions, right? So it's kind of like that, applicable to administration of these powers in these different agencies. You want to be as judicious and as fair as possible because do you understand? I mean, this can go both ways. So Wray did not help himself here, and I wanted to go through some of these highlights because we did learn some things from all of this. We actually did. There were some things that we learned from this testimony. In fact, I mean, there was a lot of, we played some of it yesterday, but I have some new stuff today from everything that was happening, you know, after we were off air. But some of the things that, in looking at all of this, some of the big highlights, because he was really defending, Wray was really defending the FBI. And he, you know, he got really mad at Chip Roy at one point because Chip Roy used the phrase tyrannical. But listen to this. This was very interesting. Audio soundbite 5. Now, Wray was asked whether or not the FBI had confidential human sources in the crowd on January 6th, right? I mean, he could have answered this. This could have been a very easy answer for him. Yes or no? Listen to how this played out. Audio soundbite 5.
Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Son reportedly has asserted that the protest crowd was filled with federal agents. Are you aware of his assertion?
I am not.
Would you agree with him that it was filled with federal agents on January 6th?
I would really have to see more closely exactly what he said and get the full context to be able to evaluate it.
How many agents were actually agents or human resources were present in the Capitol complex and vicinity on January 6th?
Well, again, it's going to get confusing because it depends on when we deployed and responded to the breach that occurred.
How
Obviously,
many
there
were
were
under
federal agents?
Sure. Yeah, you're talking, and you and I both know what we're talking different things here. And please don't distract here because we're focusing on those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th. How many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on
Oh, my
scene.
gosh. I totally don't believe that. Come on. Who did it? Not me. The way he did that, to me, I thought he gave away a tell. I watched that clip, the end of that, a couple of times. I thought that was a tell. The way he tilted his head and scrunched up his face, that was absolutely a tell. He gave a little bit away there, I thought. Now, he was asked again. Audio soundbite 6. He was asked again, you know, were there assets in the crowd? I mean, yes or no? This is a very simple answer. Listen to this.
How many individuals were either FBI employees or people that the FBI had made contact with were in the January 6th entry of the Capitol and surrounding area?
So I really need to be careful here talking about where we have or have not used confidential human sources.
Was there one or more individuals that would fit that description on January 6th that were in or around the Capitol?
I believe there is a filing in one of the January 6 cases that can provide a little more information about this, and I'm happy to see if we can follow back up with you.
I just want an answer. Was there one or more? I mean, you would know if there was at least one individual who worked for the FBI who entered the Capitol on that day?
I can't, again, I just can't speak to that here, but I'm happy to get the court filing that.
Look, it's been
I think
2
deals with this
years,
issue.
and you're now come before us. The gentleman asks these questions, makes all kinds of insinuations, and you nod your head yes, and then I ask you simply, was there one or more? And you won't answer that. So I'm going to make the...
He won't answer it because it's been answered. We know. I mean, everything that he's saying right there, yes, absolutely, they had assets that were there. He could have easily said, you know what, that's a dumb question. We absolutely did not have assets there. He's the director of the FBI. You're telling me the director of the FBI doesn't know any of this stuff? I don't buy it. He knows everything. He's been implicated in knowing everything. Come on. I mean, this is just silly at this point. I mean, he just has no idea about a lot of things. Audio soundbite 9, this is another example. He just doesn't know. He just doesn't know. How many times did the FBI use illegal FISA queries? FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Agency, the FISA court. How many times did the FBI utilize illegal queries run through FISA to spy on American citizens? Simple answer, right? I mean, you would think it would be a simple answer. Not for the director of the FBI. Listen.
How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure actually that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's findings on that.
Well, the internet will remind you of that in moments. But let's now go to what the court said. The court said it was over 200,000 that have occurred on your watch. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment?
Again, I don't have the number as I sit here right now. What I can
Seems like a number you should know. How many times the FBI is breaking the law under...
He's like, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just the lowly director of the FBI. How can you expect me to know these things? Just can't even believe you're wanting me to know this stuff. Well, I mean, it's kind of important. I mean, this guy, Wray, it was, like I said, some people were saying, oh, it's a masterclass in stonewalling. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that particularly when he got into, and we're going to talk about this, the collusion between foreign governments and tech companies, that was incredibly troubling. But he doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know how many times the FBI illegally spied on people after breaking the law with FISA. He has no idea whether or not the FBI had any kind of confidential sources in the crowd on January 6th. He has no idea whether or not the FBI had, at the bare minimum, one asset in the crowd on January. He has no idea about this. But you're convicting people. People are in jail. There are people who are in jail who didn't even go into the Capitol building. They were on the grounds of the complex itself, but they didn't go in the building. They weren't actually even trespassing. They got cited with things like unlawful parading, which I actually had to look up. I didn't even know that was a charge at the time. So because of that stuff, I think that it's, if you have assets that were encouraging people to break the law, if you have assets that open the doors and were ushering people in, don't you think that the American people have a right to know whether or not their government played a part in helping to antagonize and incite a riot? Because that's ultimately what the question comes down to. Did the federal government play a part, any part, in helping to incite a riot at the Capitol complex? Yes or no?